Always was, always will be Aboriginal land. This is a significant quote by Uncle William Bates, a legal rights activist and leader of the Australian Aboriginal group Barkangji. The quote reflects on the ongoing struggle of Aboriginal Australians, who have lived in Australia for over 65,000 years, and yet they continue to face social and legal challenges due to colonisation. But the origins of Australia's native people are still the subject of many heated debates, from social inequality to legal representation. And there are even debates about if their genocide was really a genocide. Here's everything you should know about the indigenous people of Australia.
The British began settling in Australia in 1788, taking land from Aboriginal Australians who had lived there for thousands of years. Before the colonization, it was estimated that between 750,000 and 1.25 million Aboriginal Australians lived across the continent. According to nationalgeographic.com, during the colonization, over 20,000 were killed in violent attacks. Many were also hunted down and killed.
From 1910 to 1970, there were government policies of assimilation that led to between 10 and 33% of Aboriginal Australian children being forcibly removed from their own homes. This is often referred to as the stolen generations. The children were placed in adoptive families and institutions, where they were forbidden from speaking their native language or participate in any form of cultural practice or activity. Many claim that they were saving the Aboriginal children from a life of suffering, neglect, poverty, and abuse.
This caused pain and suffering on an entire generation of people. According to Bring Them Home report, at least 100,000 children were taken away from their parents. As stated by the Australian Institute of Health and Welfare, the colonization extremely disrupted the Aboriginal society and economy, disrupting the ability for Aboriginal Australians to support themselves.
However, today the Aboriginal Australians still suffer from the consequences of the European settlement, specifically the impact of infectious and chronic diseases. The majority live in desperate poverty and suffer from major drug problems, social security dependency, and poor health. Despite their struggles, the Australian government has made numerous efforts to heal the pain and damage that was inflicted on the Aboriginal Australians, but there are still many challenges to overcome.
The story of Aboriginal Australians is not just history. It carries through generations of vulnerability, resistance, and survival. Despite centuries of displacement, discrimination, and suffering, they continue to fight for justice and the right to determine their own future. Still, the Aboriginal culture remains. The languages are still spoken, the traditions are still practiced, and their land will still be theirs.
Always was, always will be Aboriginal land. This is not just a quote, it's a declaration, a reminder, a call to acknowledge the past, confront the present, and shape a future where justice is not just spoken, but realized.